Greetings, comrades. I am Admiral Andre. Welcome back to the 14th episode of our Kerbal career. At least I think it's the 14th episode. So yes, it's Monday, and I hope you all had a good Monday, or if you still are early in the day, then I hope the rest of your Monday will be a good one. So, at any rate, let's have a look at KSP. I added a few more mods again, and I also took one away, comrades. I'll explain in a moment, but one of the mods that I added is Scansat, because I think, as I said in the last episode, doing like a scan of the various bodies was an intriguing idea, and Scansat is obviously specialized for doing that, so I think we can use this for added detail. I hope it's not going to be too much, too much tedium or too much of a technical thing. I've played around with Scansat before, but I've never used it in depth really. But I did read somewhere that they said we're supposed to, or recommended anyway, that we disable the stock scanning and also disable like instant resource scans. So I'm not sure what this threshold and all of that means, but in the context of Scansat, but we'll learn together, I guess. I also added the base modules. That was recommended a long time ago. That's the Scansat radar altimetry sensor, so I'll definitely buy that. But we can also now pretend in a way that I instructed our various subcontractors like SCAN, the Scientific Committee on Advanced Navigation, to begin development of various tools for remote sensing, like radar altimetry sensors. And this is what they have delivered. Of course, it's a small cost of $10 million, but we'll pay that. So I can just do that here. So there it is, $10 million spent on that. Then there's a few things under fuel systems now. I think this is the base system mod thing that added this now. We can see the K&K Advanced Orbit and Surface Structures. So this is another subcontractor of ours that I've contacted, and they have delivered these various parts at a cost of $23 million. So I'm paying that again, seeing as we have 1.5 billion. Then also they added various other things here for those resource canisters to fit into, so I'll accept that as another $34 million. So that gets us up to date. I want to get these things out of the way while we're still early in the tech tree. Once we start going too far up, I don't want to now have to buy a lot of extra things. So I think I'm going to draw the line right there for myself. We have the base modules now, and we have the stations modules, and that's it. I did say I wanted to look at near future technologies, possibly also the one where you freeze the Kerbals. I've never used that before, but that is anyway later technologies. We haven't even landed on the moon yet, so I'm not going to worry about those yet for now. And maybe there'll be a KSP update in the meantime. So yes, what did I remove? I removed the restock, comrades, for two basic reasons. The first reason is because I don't know if you've also experienced this if you use the restock mod. There's kind of like a weird wobble going on with the SAS, like it doesn't quite lock on. Now I know we've complained about this in the past when I did the Saturn V launches and all of that. But with restock, it seems to make it worse. It doesn't want to stay stable. With the basic stock, that is much better again. I don't know. That's a very weird thing, but I did notice that every time we launched. The other reason is also just so that there's no real problems for sharing this on Steam, because again, I do want to make it accessible. Now, obviously, if we start using the base modules like the peer core module and so on, then you have to have those mods in order to use the craft. But let's just load up one of the previous things. What was a good one? Like the harmony, for example. Yes, so we can see there is a slight difference in terms of the appearance of this rocket now. The good thing about restock is it doesn't add anything or take anything away, but it does give you more options in terms of appearance, customizing the appearance. So we see now things are clipping through there. We also have the parachutes clipping through because they are slightly bigger in the stock game, but that's okay. We can live with stuff like this. Even with that, it doesn't go flashing wildly, so it looks like it's part of the structural attachment points there. So I can certainly live with that, because again, we don't get options with those engines like boat tails and things like that. But anyway, I do want to also go back to the process. What's that? Planetary surface structures. Interesting. I've never seen this tab before. But anyway, I want to go back to making sure that I classify all my rockets, because last time I did see that was a problem. Now, this one, as I said before, if I just remove that, this gets us at least 3.4 tons to low Kerbal orbit. So this, I think, is this Paragon 1B. I just want to update that. Actually, no, I want to delete the Paragon 1B. Then I want to save this one, because it doesn't look like you can change the description afterwards. Paragon 1B. And what did we say? 3.4? I think so. 3.4 tons to LKO, low Kerbal orbit, right? Yes, 3.4. Now if I ever have a need, I just scan through here. Oh, there it is. Get it done. Easy, simple like that. Because there will be times I can't play every day, and then I will start to forget some of the details. But anyway. Right, so the next thing I want to do is load up the other craft that I was looking for last time, that I used the older version for now. Now I have to think, what did we use this for? The one that has the kind of narrower top. Was it the Echo? I think that was it. Unknown part modules. Whoops. Restock, modify fairing materials. Well, we can still load it despite that, so it's not a problem. Yeah, so that is the thing. So you see now we have small issues like this, but that is very easily fixed. So actually what I will do first of all is, I just have to think now. Let's just remove this. Oh yes, that's why I moved it in. It was obviously the restock engines looked slightly different. We can do something like that. Right, so just to get it fixed up again. And just move this down so I can put the modern version into the sub-assemblies, the prefabs. Right, then the top part will change obviously depending on the various payloads that we have, but I just want to check, do we have a probe core in here? Yes, there's one embedded right there. Doesn't make any kind of weird appearance. No, it's fitted in there very nicely. Alright, so this will be, I'll delete this fairing just so we customize it every time. And then sub-assemblies, the Paradon. Whoops, that was a mistake, so I'll delete that. Paragon 1A I'm also going to delete, and then we'll reinstall this one. Right, so the first thing I actually want to do is just see what the payload was here. That's 2.1 tons. Now, I can't remember what I said originally about this, what it can do, because I did a test and it was something like 2.5 tons to low Kerbal orbit. So I'm going to say 2.5. Paragon 1A, 2.5 ton to LKO. So we start really organizing our things here. I should also start like an Excel or something where I can save the various names of crafts, and rockets. So we had the arrow, that was the very odd one. We had the javelins, and we had the spires, and now the paragons. So there's a nice evolution happening there. So just clear the board here. Right, next step is, can you guess, comrades? Coffee, of course. Yes, like Captain Janeway said in Star Trek Voyager, there's coffee in that nebula. Right, let's look at our missions. I think we'll probably do some missions again today. Now we have a few contracts for satellite launches, so I think this is a good step to make. Now this one is for Ionic. They do want an inclined orbit. What do they exactly want? Mystery goo, that's it. And then of course all the usual. Okay, what's this one? 3.6 degrees. This is also in a specific orbit, so it doesn't have to be above a point on the planet. Materials bay. I think we can do both of these at the same time. I think we can. There's another one that's Minmus, but that's still too far. We still need to do a Minmus orbiter as well. So I think what I'll do is right, so this will now be echo satellites again. I just have to keep track of these various things. And now of course I can't use the gold foil and all of that, but that's fine. I don't see that as a problem. Right, so we don't have the panels yet. What do I need for this? So this will be, I'll rename them later, you know, Ionic and etc, etc. I won't worry about that now. So we're going to just use a basic satellite bus. I should start standardizing these things as well. You know, that was another thing on Friday. One of the lecturers that spoke after me, he runs his own satellite building company here in South Africa. And they have lots of foreign clients as well. And he stressed the point that one of the things that made launches today so much quicker and so much cheaper is the whole standardization of the bus of the satellite, especially the CubeSats, that makes it accessible for developing nations and so on, because it's a specific format. You don't have to customize your launch vehicle for every launch, and if there's a delay or something, you can look at various other providers of launches, because there's a standard uniform standard. Well, said that already. But anyway, so I do want a battery on this thing. Alright, so we're going to not probably add another reaction wheel. Together the two will give us enough, I think. So this one is going to just have an antenna. So I think just on the top here. Do the old trick of duplicating it. And just placing it like that, so I don't have to deploy it. Then I do want, of course, the mystery goo. Now I think I'll just place this on the bottom. It doesn't need a particular point, of course. There. Just, we're not going to give our clients more than they pay for. They pay for one, so I give them one. Right, then this will be the body of the satellite. I think we'll put it on the top and just move it down from there. So, of course, I could put it into an empty tank as well. Maybe I should do that. It's purely a design choice at this moment, you know, aesthetics and all that. So if we empty this tank, then it's a structural element. So of course I can do this. And just put it like that. Now what would look nice for a satellite body? Not orange, I think. Probably the stripes. I think that will do. We could also even go slightly smaller. but I think that's a little too small. Again, take the fuel out. Yes, but I have a plan. If we can get away with that. Maybe. Oh yes, this will just have to be moved because it's not attaching to the tank there. Well, I'll move this in a little. It's part of the structure there. Right, so there's the satellite, something very basic. Now, of course, we still don't have the small fuel tanks like the Oscar B and so on. Then I'd put a very small engine on this, just so it does have some independent capacity to move around if there's ever a contract asking for that. But maybe we can do something with monopropellant. I'm thinking now again the restock mod, and I hope in KSP2 they'll give us options for this. The restock mod is so good because it gives us not just a 4-way thruster block, but the 3-way and the 2-way and all that, and that is something that I do miss in the game. Now that doesn't quite look right. Maybe I'll just put one tank on the top. More or less like that, you know. There's already an antenna in there. And then one of these nozzles will be enough to move this. This is a very light satellite of 400 kilos, so I think it's perfectly fine. Right, have to hold my breath again every time I do that. Right, so there's the engine, a fuel tank, communications, a science experiment, the bus of the actual computer electronics, and of course the battery. So this thing is now ready to fly. I like this, it lines up with the tank on the top. Of course we do need power. In this case I will just put it on the sides. No more than 4. Our clients don't need more than that. I wanted to say they don't pay us for that, but they actually do. But still, this is more than enough for their needs. And that looks very nice. That's a nice little satellite right there. So this is the first one we will deliver. Now we come to the challenge. We planted the first of our flags. Oh yes, I was doing a test. Now apparently we got money for this and so on, but I launched just Jeb inside a little capsule, Mark 1 capsule, just to test a flag that I made. So now we completed a milestone for that, because I was thinking once we land on various bodies, it's not going to really be nice to put a KSP logo flag on the moon and so on. It has to be more epic than that. So I take this flag of United Kerbal, which is an adaptation of Star Trek flag of United Earth with just Kerbal in the middle. I just pasted it in there. So I think that will be a nice epic flag for representing the whole planet. And I see there's some new ones from Scansat. But anyway, we don't need that now. Right, so I don't know the Delta V. That's another thing the RCS build tool I think can give us. Something else I would like to see in the game for KSP2. Now I can use this, but it creates more space debris. Well, we don't really have a choice unless I use a docking port for that. I can't even remember when we unlocked the docking ports. Anyway, I think we'll use this, that's fine. So now I need a fuel tank as well. With, again, we don't have many choices 1300, is that enough for its own independent capability? I think that should be enough. What is the weight now? It's 1.5 tons, and we need to split this between the two of them. We'll try this, because by that time it'll be in orbit already. So there is our little satellite. So this is going to be space debris now. But anyway, we have to have some space debris, I guess. We can't get away from that. Then I want another one of these. Or are we going to use the RCS, or the fairing points? I think we can use this. More space debris for the people. Anyway, so I need now another kind of structure. Might I even replicate that same one? Just because now it's going to be slightly difficult since it's part of the route there. I think we can rebuild that. So in that case I'll also use this, but then with a flat top there. What I sometimes like to do, because we don't in the stock game have engine plates for the diameter here. What's that? 1.25 meters. We don't have that kind of diameter. So I take an FLA5 adapter and I put it upside down, and then I clip the tank into it so it sits flat. Just like that. So it just looks different. You know, it's not always the same. Now it needs its own probe core, so we'll put that there with its own electrical system. And I can move that in. Then, instead of closing this off now, we'll just put the Science Junior on here. I think that's what we're supposed to do. We'll just confirm that. Mystery goo and a materials bay. So obviously that's the right thing. I also want the stripes, and then I will put the panels on again. Like that. And then of course we need communications. I'll use the same kind of antenna again. Now that's the battery there. That's fine. We build it into the probe core basically. Doesn't have to be too precise as long as it doesn't stick out there, because there's no reason we shouldn't be able to bend those two shapes there to fit into a container, but it fits straight anyway, just around obstacles. But anyway, so now we have a weight of 2 tons, so we might be able to use the 1A for this launch. Might get away with that. So of course its own fuel system. In this case, should we do another one that's independent and powered by RCS? Ideas. I think so. We'll try that. Just change this as well. Should we? No, I'll leave it. Then I'm just gonna move this up. Anytime I move stuff around like that, I can't be speaking because I feel like it's making me miss the mark. But anyway, right, so we now have this, but I need fuel on the lower stage. So I think, should we just go with 1 again? It's really difficult. But we can try, right? There's a lot of space in that tank. Just turn the snapping on here. There, that should do. So we'll imagine we have smaller little tanks sitting around the edges. Of course, there's only so much engineering I can do because the parts are pre-made. But in reality, you would adjust it slightly for the particular requirements of the mission. So there's room in there. Right, now this is done. Our payload is thus 2.188 tons, so it's perfect for the Paragon 1A. You see, you first look at the client requirements and you see, okay, the client wants this. In this case, they have two different payloads, two different clients. So we are then looking at what do we have to deliver on those specifications. And in this case, the Paragon 1A is the preferred launch vehicle because it is perfect for the payload. So in that case, I will just build a fairing now around this. It wants to snap now. And then I'll put the four-sided clamshell deploy on with good enough force. You have to do this, otherwise it might hit the rocket. And then this one is missing again. It seems to happen. But that should do. Although I don't exactly like how it sticks out there. So we do it like that and then move the whole thing down a little. There we go. Right, now of course we need to check our staging for this beauty here. So of course all of that will fire initially, separate, recover that. And the thing is weird again. That's not supposed to keep happening. I'll have to overwrite the thing now again. Just want to make sure we make it easier for ourselves in the future. There. Don't want to have to move that every single time. Right, then that separates, we recover that. This separates, we recover it because this is probably the most expensive single stage on the rocket. Separate the fairings, ignite the lower stage of the lower engine there of the second stage. Then separate that and also re-enter it for burning up in the atmosphere if it makes orbit. Then we can just want to see now again. Problems here. I don't know if this will be enough. It might be, because then I'll have to use this to put this initial satellite payload into orbit. But I think no, we have to make an adjustment here. This is just a maneuvering thruster for this. I need its own insertion thing. Now for now I don't have a choice, so we keep using the one that will now be separated into space debris. Then I'll use another one of these with its own engine. Right, then this on the bottom. We just try it, you know, we'll see what happens. And again, this thing, every single time we have a problem with this. I'll just leave it like that. Right, check again your staging. No, there's a whole mix up here. So that one fires. Then I want the one that separates there. Then I want that engine down there. And then we'll sort the rest out as we go based on our requirements. Right, then I'm just going to take one of these top parts and say auto strut to the rocket. And now the problem is because we have two payloads, it's really two separate missions. And I do remember what I said originally. I wanted to make satellites named after YouTubers. So I think in that case, what I'll do first of all is the whole rocket mission I will name a comrade, but then as soon as I get them into orbit, I'll rename them. So I don't know if it's worthwhile doing a name now, because this is going to be Echo 2 and 3, I think. Yes, we just did the 1. Right, cancel that. So this will be Echo 2 and 3, 2 and 3, and the mission itself will be named after comrade, now forgive me here, Deus Ochco. Now again, that might be Italian Duce or something of that nature, so forgive me again. I do learn through experience here, but for now I'll say Deus Ochco. Right, so there we are, comrades. You are the patron saint of this mission. Let us hope it goes well. I will save it here and proceed to the launch pad. We'll again use the main one. I think we're probably transitioning now to the main spaceport. But you know what time it is, comrades? Can you guess? Or do you have predictions? Oh dear, I see something seems to have settled itself into my coffee. Well, that was a disappointment, but I have more coffee, comrades, so let me have some of that. It happens sometimes because of the lighter I'm using on my desk. Insects are drawn to it and sometimes they'll fly into my coffee. But it's like small little, what's the word for them? I don't know. I don't never know in English, but like... anyway, never mind, but small little flying things, but not actual flies, but anyway. That comes in the summer, so that's one of the great joys we can look forward to during the summer months. Lots and lots of flies. Now, where do we launch from? That's the other question. Or rather, when do we launch from? I think we'll accelerate. Oh no, that's the descending node right there, so it must be slightly up, but at least they're both the correct direction here. So we'll wait until those points cross, and luckily because the other one has a more distant orbit, it will be cheaper to make inclination changes further away. Right, F5 this mission, and I'll just launch it with you for a moment just so we see it works. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And there's a big problem with the real plume. I obviously removed that mod previously when I installed Restock, but then I put it back now. But somehow I didn't do something right. Well, we're using chemicals now that are so clean you can't even see the exhausts. We pretend, comrades. That's not a reason to abort. Now we have to just launch slightly to the north, and I'll see you once we get closer to our goal. Whoops, well that is a reason to abort the launch. Oh dear, well of course that's the problem with going from one mod back to stock again. Now we have to stay with stock parts at all costs. And we got it so great, it was on 0 degrees as well. Eesh, back to the drawing board. Definitely gonna revert this one, now I need more coffee. You see, the problem here is now that the size of the engines has changed, and that's of course the property of the stock game, because the reliance in the restock mod, you can take that big base away from them, because that now clips into the main engine, I think. Now how do we solve this? I'm gonna move them out a little bit. Now they clip there. It's no winning here. Eesh. You see, it's already slightly angled these structural tubes to make it so they don't clip and attach to the bottom of the fuel tank there. But now how do I know it's not going to happen again? Yikes! See, this whole thing is supposed to just drop off, so it has to slip. This engine here has to slip through those two parts there. It should, in theory, be able to do that. Never mind these girder segments here. They have to be there to keep the thing together. So what do I do here? I'm going to have to do tests, comrades. I'll save this. I'll not... Yes, no, cancel, never mind. I'll save this when I'm working on it now. And I'll also bring the mod back, the real plume, because something is wrong there. So I'm going to have to go out of the game and then come back in again. In that case, I don't have to save because I did just before we launched. Then I'll do some experiments here and come back to you once it's successful. Wish me luck, comrades. Right, comrades, we are back again. I had to exit the game, as I said, and I just had to rename the folder. I basically put all of the subfolders of Real Plume into another folder when I removed them. And basically I just had to take them out and then rename the base folder again, so it seems to be working now. In terms of the rocket, what I've done, I'm not sure if it's going to work. It works when I launch just after, you know, above the launch pad and I separate, then it works, but whether it will work higher up in the atmosphere, I have no idea. I just had to basically angle the engine slightly out and also move these structural fairing stuff, structural tube, out a little bit. We'll see if it works, just so it can clear that central engine. I don't want to change this rocket, I like it too much. Anyway, let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1. Deus Ochko. Good luck, comrade. Again. So we'll see if this works. As long as the thing can separate, then I'll be happy, because this is a good rocket. Right, try again. Now, of course, we're not launching at the right point. Oh well, that's something I can fix once we're in orbit. Well, we'll just see what happens now, comrades. I can't lock to prograde yet, so I still have to babysit the ascent a little. But still, this is such a nice rocket, and it can do so much. But yes, the way I do this is I separate around 500 meters per second, because by that time we have picked up enough speed for the central engine to take over. Right, now there's no real point in not following the 90. So I'll just stay where we are, roughly. This is a good ascent. And now is the key. Nope, still brakes. Oh, good grief. It just snaps off straight away. As long as the rest of the stuff breaks, I'm fine. But the main engine also breaks. Now I have to revert again. What can we do about this, if anything? Otherwise I'll have to change the whole design now. Mods, you see, don't even try. So I'll use the station parts and the base parts, but nothing that changes stuff, because now we have this problem. All it has to do is clear the central engine. You see, it's a little too close there, but then it's going to stick out in a weird way, because I do want this to look kind of nice. So if I move that out, I can move this out as well. Is that enough clearance? You see, the engine bell is quite wide, and the way that it's set there means that the structural tube, the bottom is clear, as you can see, but the top is gonna hit it still. Not gonna work, comrades. And I don't have the tail segments that are more suited for this. The B, tail connector B, because those are angled, not just like this where they meet in the middle. So, see, if I move it out too far, then it starts coming back, you see? Makes a gap there. I don't want that. Unless we angle this as well. Sure, why not? And there has to be a little gap right there, because otherwise it clips into the tail, and then when it separates it will detonate. No other way of doing this. I'm fine with the stripe on the side, but does it separate? It should now, hopefully. This central structural tube is fine. It's just these ones. It's a real problem trying to create something like this. Well, I think we'll try it. Something now, right? It should be better at least. Then I must not forget now, when I come back, to replace the sub-assembly. Anyway, we'll try again. I usually don't change the fairing color, but maybe we can even do that. It's like the bottom satellite and the top satellite. Why not? Save it again. Try again. And what is the time, comrades? I heard you there. More coffee. You're right. This time I will skip ahead until we separate. 3, 2, 1. Right, we're almost there. As soon as we start getting some kind of a roll for some strange reason, then it's almost time to separate. And drop it. Okay, I can live with that. Yes, there's a wobble in the thing, but that works. At least it works. I can reinforce the whole thing. It's like it lost its auto strut for some reason. Very strange. But anyway, it works. Finally. So we're back to business again. See you in orbit, comrades. Okay, comrades, we are almost there, and we still have more than enough delta V. So this is actually a really capable rocket, as I said, despite the minor problems that we had with it now. So yes, it's about 2.5 tons, because we didn't get quite to 2.5 with our payload, and we'll have a little bit of fuel left. Actually, let's put it into orbit properly. Okay, not quite circular, but that's fine. Now I'll separate this stage, and it's moving away, so I just flip back to the second stage of our rocket, and now it's going to move through that, but anyway, never mind that. Just so I can deorbit this so it doesn't become space debris. At least do something right. Space debris is everybody's problem. Right, so there we are. We have 2 satellites, each with their own engine and fuel tank, and of course their various payloads. Now I just have to make sure I send the right one to the right destination. So we did get the good grief, Deus Ochko, my forgiveness, comrades. Engines back. I think that was the very first lower stage, and then we also got the upper stage, or the the actual first stage, given that it's 1.5. So we did get a couple of $1 million back from that, which is a really good thing. Now the first target is right here. This is Goliath. Now Goliath is asking for what? Now you see I can't see who the people are. No clue. You see they don't say. They need to say Goliath or something. I have to go back to the Space Center now. Otherwise how am I going to know what to send where? Now, so this is Goliath. Goliath wants the materials bay, and then Ionic wants the goo. Right, let me try and remember that. Who wants them? Okay, Ionic wants the goo, just remember that. Ionic wants the goo, otherwise I'm going to forget now. Alright, so that's the top one, of course. Let's separate the two now. Perfect. I know space debris there, but this is the one that goes to Ionic. Right, so Ionic's orbit is where? That's the furthest away. Now I'm going to have to wait for the actual node. Are we there now? Pretty much. So I think, if I'm right, I need to burn down. No, but don't do that now. Because if I do this now, it's not going to be efficient, so I want to push it out now. Right, burn. And then I'll change it by that ascending node. So it's good that they're pretty much aligned there. Right, now, next step. It's not perfect, but it will get us close enough. Actually, I'll make a change as we get closer, but before I do anything, I just have to tell it to hibernate again, just in case. And as soon as we get roughly where we are now, I just want to make some slight adjustments. So the apoaps and the ascending node are roughly in the same place. So this is 0.8 seconds of burn, almost nothing. And I can do it now as well, I think. Right, now we can fix two problems at once. And that is, of course, dropping the angle right there, while at the same time completing the orbit. Now I'll have to just double check things here. And just make sure we do it right. Now what is the... You see the angles are not right. Now I have to make a few more changes. That should complete it right there. Okay, I'm happy with that, comrades. It's only a 7-second burn and we will have just enough fuel. What do you know? We of course still have the monoprop as well, if that was necessary. Right, warp to maneuver node. So again, a very, very good mission here. And then as soon as it's in position, I'll rename it. And that's about a minute away. Now just slow time warp, slow time warp. Pushing 6 Gs here. Okay, let's just evaluate. Is that acceptable? I think it is. Right, one is done, comrades. One is done. Now, I will... should I? Yes, I should separate that, but I actually should have turned the force down, but it will be so little it won't make much of a difference, but quick save anyway. Then rename. Now, in this case, I will say this is Echo 2, and that will be Ionic Sat 1. I think the other one was experimental engineering. And then I will name this after myself, as I said before. We'll use YouTubers now for the satellites. And as I said, what self-respecting YouTuber doesn't put themselves first? I can't do the accent on the E, but that's alright. There we go. I have my own satellite, comrades, or at least one named after me. Separate. You see, it does have a bit of force to it, and that does change the orbit, but it's still roughly the same thing. And of course, the clients are still happy, so I will F5 this again, and just make sure that it points up relative to the pole on Kerbal, so it will always have sunlight. Right, that's the first one. Second one. Switch 2, and this is going to a much lower orbit, but it will have a need for a slight inclination change again. So where are we now? We are right there now, so the next time will be here. Again, I want to match it up with the nodes so we can fix two things at once. Kill two birds with one stone, as it were. Although, I don't know who started that saying. Who wants to kill birds? But anyway. Right, that'll do. So this is in 12 minutes. Much easier to go to the map, next maneuver and time warp, rather than risking skipping it again. Yes, it's just that little force there on the separator. That's the problem. But otherwise, this is a really great mission, I think. We'll make a nice bit of money for this again. And why is it upside down? Something is fishy. Good thing I see that, eh? Now we're a few seconds late, but strange that it swapped it upside down, though. Burn. Stay on the 90 for now. Try and follow the node there. Right, that's close enough, certainly, I think. So we'll plan out the changes that we have to make. So in that case, we need to raise the angle while extending the orbit, of course. Making small fixes. Right, that looks good, but now the angles are still off. And I think that looks great. So that is an 8-second burn. I will drop the thrust limiter. We have just enough for that. So I think this is actually quite a perfect setup that we have here for satellites that are meant for orbit between Kerbal and the moon anyway. Higher than that would be a problem. Alright, now go back to prograde, roughly. Speed up slowly and it should take into account the reduced thrust. Burn. What a view, hey comrades? Locking to the target would be such a nice feature now, but we still have to earn that. Right, I think they'll count it, but I want to just make it a little bit better. Now that should work. Boom, we got it. Finished. Now I'll say F5 again. Should I move up first? I think so. I'll rather change the inclination by a slight amount than making the orbit much bigger. And we have only 49 meters per second left. But now, you know, it still kicks us a little. I can counteract that with the engine we have, but I don't think there's a real need for that. So this is still what the client wanted. They're still happy. And I'm just going to rename this now. Rename vessel. So thank you, Deuce Ochko. This was a fantastic mission. We just had some problems with the launch vehicle, but that was easy to solve. This is Echo 3. This is Goliath Sat 1. And this will be named after... Now we sort of go into the rest of the Kerbal YouTuber community. So this will be the Scott Manley, of course. Right, so in this way we have basically, you know, our comrades represented, but also the kind of community as well. I like that. We're a part of this whole KSP experience. So comrades, with that I will leave you with this view. I think that is quite an achievement for today. What did we earn in terms of money? We now have $1.7 billion, so that did give us something like 200 million. And that's a great thing. So the contracts were completed, and yes, have a fantastic day, comrades. I will see you again very soon.